Imagine standing right at the entrance of one of those hidden passages, leading down deep into the earth, into a place holding secrets of pharaohs. The Valley of the Kings is just full of spots like that, each one with its own story carved right into the stone.
Absolutely. And today we're looking at KV14.
Right, KV14. It's remarkable because it was the final resting place for, well, two rulers, Queen Tausert and Pharaoh Setnakht.
Which is quite unusual. We're talking late 19th, early 20th dynasties here, a time of, let's say, significant change.
Definitely. So our mission today really is to explore this shared space. We want to uncover the history, the key features, and just the fascinating details of KV14, getting some insight into these pharaohs' lives and times, all based on, archaeology and the historical texts we have.
And KV14 gives us this really intriguing look into that transition period. To get it, though, we really need to understand the two main players involved. Starting with Tausert, her reign is fascinating.
It really is. So Tausert, she's the 8th pharaoh of the 19th dynasty. You might also see her name as Tausert or Tausert. And she wasn't just some minor figure. She was the primary wife of Seti II, held real influence. Then after he died, she stepped up as regent for his successor, Sipta.
A crucial role. But then it gets even more interesting.
Exactly, because after Sipta passes away, Tausert herself takes the throne. She becomes pharaoh.
Which is huge. Now, pinning down the exact dates for her reign, that gets a little complex. Scholars debate it.
Oh.
Yeah, you see different possibilities. Maybe 1192 to 1191 BC, maybe 1186 to 1185, or even 1188 to 1186. There are a few different timelines proposed.
So there's some wiggle room there. What does that tell us?
Well, it kind of underscores the challenges we have in piecing together ancient timelines perfectly. And it might even, hint at the political instability of that specific period.
That makes sense. And didn't the ancient historian Manetho give her a 7-year reign?
He did, yes. But that likely included the years she served as regent for Sipta.
Ah, okay. But here's a telling detail. Ramesses III, later on, leaves her name off his big list of royal ancestors.
Yeah, that's significant.
What can we really take from that? It feels like it strongly suggests that down the line, her rule wasn't seen as, well, fully legitimate, part of that smooth pharaonic line.
That's a really key observation. Being deliberately left out like that, it points towards a potential rejection or at least a questioning of her right to rule by those who came after. And her time as pharaoh, it seems it was marked by trouble. It ended with civil war, her own death. Basically a power vacuum.
Which then opens the door for the next figure in our story, Setnakht.
Exactly. The founder of the 20th dynasty and the next person to use KV14.
Setnakht. His origins are described as being a bit murky, right?
Yeah.
Not obviously from the main royal line.
That's right. He seems to be a man of, let's say, obscure origins compared to many pharaohs. But he steps in, founds this whole new dynasty, a major turning point.
And one of his big moves.
Yeah.
Taking over Tausert's tomb. KV14.
Yes, appropriating her tomb in the Valley of the Kings. It's a powerful statement.
Is that common, taking over someone else's tomb?
It's not entirely unique, no, but it often signals a big shift, a break with who came before, asserting more authority. Setnakht even left an inscription talking about his struggle to pacify the land, bring order back after turmoil.
Right. Suggests things were chaotic before him.
Seems so. His inscription says he finished restoring order around his 2nd year as king. We generally place his reign around, say, 1190 to 1187 BC.
Okay, so we've got this tomb, built for a powerful queen whose legitimacy was later questioned, then taken over and adapted by the founder of a brand new dynasty trying to cement his rule. Let's talk about KV14 itself.
Yeah, the tomb itself, it started as Tausert's project, but Setnakht reused and actually expanded it for himself, maybe his family too. This reuse really highlights that pivotal moment.
So what's the general layout like for royal tombs in the valley, I mean?
They tend to follow a pattern, yeah. Usually you have a descending corridor leading down. Often you'll find these deep shafts cut into the floor.
Traps for robbers.
Kind of, yeah. Deterrence, at least. Didn't always work, but that was the idea. Then you'd get to pillared halls, maybe vestibules, leading eventually to the main burial chamber with the sarcophagus.
And storage rooms, too.
Yeah.
For all the grave goods.
Exactly. Smaller chambers around the burial chamber filled with everything the pharaoh would need in the afterlife. Provisions, furniture, ritual items.
And these walls weren't just plain rock, were they? They were covered in decorations.
Mm-hmm.
What would you see inside KV14?
Oh, absolutely covered. Elaborate carvings, vibrant paintings. The decoration had a really profound religious job to do,
Which was?
primarily showing the deceased pharaoh first Tausert, then Setnakht with the gods, especially gods of the underworld.
Right.
And alongside these scenes, you'd have illustrations of magical texts. Think of them like spells or guidebooks, similar to what you find on funerary papyri, meant to help the pharaoh navigate the dangers of the afterlife.
Like a map through the underworld.
Sort of, yeah. And sometimes on the ceilings of burial chambers from this era, you'd even find these amazing astronomical charts connecting their journey to the stars, to the cosmos itself.
Wow. So you have these incredibly rich symbolic spaces carved out underground, designed to ensure passage to the next life. It makes it even sadder that most of them were, well, disturbed later on.
It is. The vast majority of tombs in the valley were looted back in antiquity. Some maybe earlier, but there seems to have been a pretty systematic clearing out during the 21st dynasty.
Why then?
Probably a mix of reasons. Partly to protect the royal mummies themselves, they were often moved to safer hidden caches, but also, let's be honest, probably economic reasons, cycling valuable gold and materials during tougher times.
Which just hammers home how incredible the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb really was.
Oh, absolutely. Its survival, mostly intact, is the exception that proves the rule. It shows us what the others might have looked like.
So the religious stuff in these tombs, like KV-14, it tells us a lot about their beliefs, right?
Definitely. Seeing the ruler with the gods, especially underworld deities, over and over again, it stresses how vital that successful transition to the afterlife was. And those magical texts, they reveal this really detailed picture of the netherworld, a place seen as full of trials, needing divine help.
And it wasn't just about the individual pharaoh's afterlife, was it? These massive tombs had a bigger role in their religion.
Absolutely. Public religion in Egypt really centered on the pharaoh and the gods. The pharaoh was the crucial link, the go-between for humanity and the divine.
The one who talked to the gods.
In essence, yes. Responsible for maintaining cosmic order, balance, justice, making sure society ran smoothly, and the gods were happy. So building these amazing funerary monuments wasn't just personal, it was a key royal duty. It ensured their afterlife, yes, but that in turn helped ensure the gods' continued protection for all of Egypt, keeping chaos away.
Do we know which specific gods might have been depicted inside KV-14?
Our sources don't list the exact ones for KV-14, unfortunately, but we have a good idea of the important deities often shown in royal tombs around this time, the late New Kingdom.
Like who?
Well, if you look at texts like the seats of the deities, you get a sense. For instance, Renenutit, she was seen as a protector of the ruler, linked to their ascent to the sky, and also goddess of the harvest. Very important.
Okay.
Then there's Hapi, the personification of the Nile flood itself. Absolutely vital. And the big one, Adam, or Re, the sun god, the creator.
Can't forget the sun god.
Never. And you'd also likely see Geb, the earth god, and maybe Tefnut, goddess of moisture, rain, part of that core creation group. It shows this whole interconnected cosmos they believed in.
It really does. And beyond just the gods, the actual architecture, the art itself, that had meaning too.
Oh, hugely significant. Royal burials evolved over time, getting more elaborate. Those funerary chapels became part of the tomb structure itself.
Yeah.
And the murals, the reliefs, they weren't just pretty pictures.
They had a function.
They were believed to actively help ensure life continued after death. The paintings, the carvings, they were thought to magically guarantee important ceremonies kept happening forever. And they reinforced the memory of the pharaoh's deeds, their divine connection.
Which brings us maybe to why we're still so fascinated by all this today, this whole phenomenon of Egyptomania.
That's a great point. It's this enduring fascination, isn't it? It goes back centuries.
Long before Tutankhamun even.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Early travelers brought back stories. Then Napoleon's expedition, militarily, maybe mixed results, but scientifically, huge impact. They documented so much, sparking massive public interest in Europe.
And then Champollion cracking the hieroglyphs.
Game changer. 1822. Suddenly, we can actually read their stories. Then museums started collecting. Artists and early photographers captured the images. It just grew and grew.
And Tutankhamun was like throwing gasoline on the fire.
Exactly. That discovery in the 1920s created another massive wave of interest that influenced everything from Art Deco design to movies.
So exploring a tomb like KV-14 today, it's not just about ancient history. We're tapping into this long line of human curiosity, this ongoing desire to understand this incredible civilization.
Precisely. And KD-14 is such a potent symbol of that. One tomb, two very different rulers, a powerful queen reaching the pinnacle, followed by the founder of a new dynasty. That dual occupancy really tells a story about the dynamics, the turbulence sometimes of Egyptian power shifts.
It really does give us this unique glimpse into the late New Kingdom, its history, its complex beliefs. Picturing those decorated corridors,
Yeah.
it connects you right back to the lives and ambitions of Tausert and Setnakht.
And maybe it leaves you with a question to think about. What does reusing a royal tomb like this actually tell us about how power changed hands, about what became important in ancient Egypt? What other stories might still be waiting in those walls? Stories that maybe future discoveries will unlock for us?
A really fascinating thought to end on. It just shows even with everything we do know, there are always more layers to uncover in the incredible world of ancient Egypt.